Yeah, hello,
Uh,
hello. I can hear you.
okay,
Go ahead.
Roy Anderson, sir, we would like to learn from you about your experience. Like you mentioned in your our WhatsApp group also that what is the role of mothers in the education, and especially the remote areas. You travel to different remote area, like you travel to Nepal, you travel to Jammu Kashmir, and so many parts of the India. What is your personal observation, especially in the role of the mothers in children behavioral and schooling, especially? What your personal observation about and your research said about it?
Excuse me. The role of the parent is very much under-evaluated within the education. The idea is that the teacher is responsible for the education of the student, but it is the parent, and especially the mother, who creates a mechanism within her child to be able to negotiate through the matrix of the school process. Now, you know very well there was a program, research done in, I think, 1995 by Risley and Hart. And what they found out was that parents who'd had an academic experience, parents who were understanding of higher education, were more interactive with their young children. They were the parents who were reading stories, teaching the children how to write. They were teaching the children how to do simple mathematics. They were taking them on excursions and adventures, explaining what, when, why, and how, and developing reasoning skills. In a sense, they were developing language skills within their children. Now, parents who hadn't been taught, we might say here, something like maybe 80% of the population, for example. But that's not a statistic, it's just a suggestion, that 80% of the population didn't have that awareness. And so when the child was born, they loved the child and they tried to make something and gave them games to play and smartphones. They were just waiting for the child to go to school, for the teachers to take over. Now the difference was that by the age of 4 years, the kids who had been raised by the more academic parents, they knew something like 30 million words more. Now, it's not just words, it's the brain activity that conforms to information. It has a sense of discipline, a sense of dealing with problems, not giving up, of developing, paying attention, and keeping focus. And so when these children went to school, wow, they were straight ahead, they were in it, and they were keeping up with the teacher. The rest of the kids, well, when they went to school, it took them a time to learn to adapt to the two-dimensional world of school. Kids grow up in a three-dimensional: run, laugh, play, cry, happy, all these kinds of things. When they go to school, they have to learn rules. School works on rules. Everything in school is rules. Sit still, don't stand up, don't talk, hold your pen this way, hold the paper this way, put your hand in if you want to go to the toilet. All these are rules. And how well the child follows these, especially when the language is at school. So that's how well they'll progress. Oh, wait a minute, somebody else is coming. Okay. And we have a lot of research that really shows that it's the mother who's the driving force behind it. The mother who makes sure the child does their homework by themselves, make sure that the child goes to bed early with a story, make sure the child has a breakfast before they go to school. I remember when I was teaching at the university in Japan, I had 120 students in my class, and only 4 had a breakfast. How can the brain metabolize if there's no sugar, And so this breakfast is very important. So it's the psychological preparation and the language skills of the mother that really decides the way that the child can align themselves to the movement of information in school. You don't work hard enough. what kind of job will you get? You're not working hard enough. You're not working hard enough. And this kills the child. You know, it really destroys the child's life to want. And what I say to these essentially fathers, one of them was actually a principal of a college, was that you've got to think of a plant. You have a plant in a bowl, and the plant's got oxygen and sunlight and nitrogen, but it needs life. It needs stability and reassurance for it to grow. And that's what we're explaining too. So parents are fundamental to the school process. And in fact, you know very well that if you have a school in a good social area, children will be better. If you have a school in a bad social area, the children will be distractive, miss lessons, not pay attention, argue with the teacher, cause so much stress, and cause the system to kind of hamper and break down. So it's the way that the parents develop the child before school and how they maintain them through it. So parents are fundamental. And this is actually one of the reasons why I wrote those books the way I did. When I began to write this, it was actually for a PhD. Initially, that was the idea of it. But then as I began to research, and I realized it was far bigger than I could get about 5 PhDs when I wrote it, was that I didn't want to write it in a language that other academics would read. I wanted to put my work in a way that a normal parent, whose English as a second, could read and enjoy. So I rewrote those books, I don't know, playing around with words and the sentences so that I could tell a story in a way that any average person could understand, as well as so parents they are the key to education. And this is why we need to educate parents, and certainly children who are leaving school are going to know how to read. And as I've mentioned to you before, the very big problem we've got globally now with smartphones. This is causing a tremendous problem. So a parent gives a smartphone to the child of 3 years old, and the mother watches. The child is happy. The child's going, boop, 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 and the mother thinks, oh, he's learning. He's not. All the child is doing is getting an electronic response to a key they're pressing. They're not analyzing. They're not developing any processes. And so what happens then is that the child's brain is addicted to this stimulation. And when the mother says to them, put the phone down, I want to talk to you, the child says, no, I don't want to talk to you, I want to play the game. Then the mother will say, put it down, and start screaming, and then the mother says, oh boy, I can't handle this. Okay, you do the game and I'll have peace. And this is exactly what we see. Wherever I go in the world, wherever a train, aeroplane, bus, car, whatever, the mother is quiet, and the child's going, now, what we need to understand here is that, as I've explained previously, it does not work on intelligence. It works on language, and language works on a country, which is English, French, Urdu, whatever happens to be, and mathematics. And for the child to be proficient in school, they need to learn the rules behind the language. How to spell, how to construct a sentence, how to compose a story, and of course with mathematics to learn how to transpose numbers. Hello, my friend, who has just joined. And so this is something that we need to focus on, the development of language. And then, of course, then we're not preparing the child with a sense of language. And so they are then failing they're failing the language.
Thank you, Mr. Roy Andersen. I think we welcome Mr. Farah. He is a well-known trainer from Pakistani education center, Pakistani education community. Know him very well, and I think he is the part of Oxford University Press also. Welcome, Mr. Farah. We are discussing with Roy Andersen. Our topic of today discussion is the role of the parents in the children growth or in the behavior. So Roy Andersen explained very well. Inshallah, we will share the recording also. I have one one personal observation and my suggestion also to continue this debate. Maybe you will correct me if I'm wrong. Like what from my personal observation is that our parents are only they some parents they don't bother even to go in the parents teacher meeting, especially in Pakistan. I personally observed it that they maybe even the principals and school administration they are inviting but they avoid, and sometimes only like mothers visit, sometimes father even he didn't spare his time to travel. So this is a very alarming situation that they must take the responsibility, because they say that okay, we are earning for them and like this. No, you should go there and you should discuss with your children. Secondly, like the attitude of the parents also can affect the teacher attitude with their students, unfortunately, because we are not so mature, and sometimes the parents go there and they are rudely behave with the teachers to show their personality, or that okay, I will do like this, why or not. So I think this rude attitude also can be indirectly affect their children, because the teacher will consider it that and he will take it personal. Third, my question is, so the parents should be very polite with the student with the teachers, because the students are with the whole year with that teachers. So the parents' attitude is playing a very important role in the teacher behavior also. Third, majority of the parents, especially those who are like used to send their children with the buses, with the drivers, with the private transportation. Okay, we observed that the attitude of the driver sometimes very like unacceptable with the students, and for example and when the students go to the class for the whole day, even in the 10 or 20 minutes traveling, in which the drivers affect, especially the youngsters, the young children's, okay, which is badly treated by the illiterate drivers, okay, that can affect the whole day of the students. Okay, so as a parent we must look at the matter of such type of situation also. It's not only that you go and you talk with the administration of the school. You should care full about the whole journey from your home to the schooling. So it can also increase the efficiency, and as a parents, this is your moral responsibility to ask your children that is it any something bad in the behavior, you observe any bad behavior from the driver, and you can suddenly change the drivers. So this is my suggestion and my personal observation.
If you
Imran,
yes, Mr.
if you allow me, so if I can throw some light on it. You are absolutely right, because it happens in most of the cases. Like if we talk about more than 60 to 70% cases, that where either the mother or the father is present on the parent-teacher meetings. Ignorance about, like your first point was that ignorance about their own children. That is very much common. And what I have felt is that it is, in my observation as well, that only the students whose parents are really well aware and are in continuous contact with the school develop rapidly. Secondly, you have discussed as their attitude of the parent. Because what I feel is that as soon as we have privatized this education system, it has become more obvious. Otherwise, when we were dealing, like the state was taking the responsibility of the schools and colleges, that was not the matter at all. The parent was always on a defensive side. Now they are on offensive side. But I feel that even in private sector, the standard of teaching and the teacher has deteriorated. Because if still, even in the private sector, nowadays, you are a good teacher, no one can like try to overcome you or try to humiliate you or try to disgrace you. If you are like kind in your heart with your students, you are sincere to your students, and you are doing your job well, you have your subject command, you know your job, no one can. Because the systems that I have been working in my, as I have been working with Oxford, as well as I have been working with the city school, so that is known to be the most bold students in the country. But believe you me that even I have not in that school now, my students just come to me and behave very politely. The reason behind, because we have loved them. So if we are going to love them, and our love, basically the first point in our love is that we should teach them properly. We should guide them properly. We'll try to make them proper, good, balanced personalities. We should take care of their emotions. So that's what we are not doing, because they are deprived most of the time. The students, the children, they are deprived from the parents' love. And as soon as they are there in the schools, teachers are not going to have that sort of a love which is required. When we say that we are the spiritual fathers or mothers, so we need to have a love of a father or a mother. The third and the last thing that you have discussed regarding the behavior of the drivers and all, definitely it is, because no nanny, no maid, no ayah, no driver can take care of your child as you can, whatever the time they are going to spend. Because if you are spending the whole life teaching good things to your child, and he is spending a light portion, a very small portion of time with a nanny or ayah and or a driver which is not properly trained, they can spoil the whole training. And that's really a very sensitive point that we are, most of the time, the parents are unaware. Because you see, if we just look at the schools, even the maids are trained for that. Even the workers are trained for that, that how you need to touch the child, how you need to talk to him or her. But at homes, mostly it does not happen. So you are absolutely right, Mr. Imran, that these are the things which also it's a big hurdle in the learning of the students.
Thank you very much, Mr. Farah, for your valuable information you shared with us. We will take some idea from Roy Andersen, because Roy Andersen having very great research about like the brain activity, such type of bullying effects from the students, from the parents, even from the driver, from whatever it is. So how the brain respond in such type of circumstances. Over to Roy Andersen.
Sure.
Well, in the sense we're talking about here, as you may or may not know, the brain is made up of brain neurons, and the neurons are separated by a chemical gap. And we have a number of chemicals. We have 50 of them, neurotransmitters. I'm particularly interested in the effect of cortisol and explaining this. You see, cortisol is there to save our life. If we're outside the classroom, or we're out walking in nature, and we're happy, we're contented. We see a flower, we go down to examine the flower, and we're analyzing what type of flower it is by its color, by its scent, and by its design. And then suddenly, we see a snake, tiger, whatever it happens to be. And our mind says danger. Now, when our mind says danger, it causes cortisol to overproduce. So the cortisol then floods the frontal cortex, and when it does that, it interferes with the passage of signals. So these signals trying to analyze information freeze. They can't understand what's happening. This causes the brain to deal with the danger so that you run away and you save your life. In the classroom, it has the effect of interfering with the child's ability to process information. So if the child or student of any age, and it happened to me very recently, feel that there is a danger, there is a threat to their identity, somebody's laughing at them, or somebody's whispering or talking about them, that insecurity or the sense of insecurity will cause cortisol to release. And when it does that, they will not be able to analyze information. And that means their brain freezes, in a sense. They get blocked and they can't follow information. Now, if we have a driver in a bus who's a little bit shouting or a little bit nasty, well, most kids can handle that. In fact, it's a reality of life. We need this kind of hard experience in order to prepare us for life. If we have a completely smooth life, then we are not prepared smooth childhood. We're not prepared for the reality of life. So a little bit of rough character is good, but not if it's causing one child to feel insecure or feel threatened. In that case, it must be stopped, because then the cortisol will be released, and then the child will go to school and they will not be able to think. So we need, in cases where adults are responsible for, in any context with children, they need to be trained, they need to be educated, they need to be aware of what they're doing. Yeah, I was in a school in Nepal talking with the principal. Two kids were playing around in the dining room. They were just kids, just jumping on the desks, no problem, on the benches, not a problem. They were just happy fun. And one technical officer came in and he slapped this child across the back. And the boy went red in the face. He couldn't breathe. And I got really angry. And I called the man over and I said, "Would you like me to do that for you?" And then I explained to him, about the danger of children. So it does happen. I mean, I was in schools where I saw children hit by sticks, and one teacher was even kicking a student. That's it. That's the reality. We need to educate people, especially people who are not educated, to be more kinder and loving with students. And I totally understand what you're saying about the bus driver. Let's get back to the parents attending or not attending the parent meeting, because this is a big problem. And it's the same in England. Every country I go to, it's the same. And the problem is that the parents don't think that they have any purpose in the school process. They believe that it's the teachers going to do everything, and they have to miss their television program, they have to disrupt their dinner, they have to go and miss their private time to go and listen to a teacher who's going to tell them all the good things they want to hear. And therefore they think it's a waste of time, like, oh God, here we go again. They're not going because they don't realize the real value that they have. So we need to educate parents to understand the important role that they have in the child's behavioral mentality to be a part of the processing system. And this is it's a global problem. Parents generally, like our friend Philoctetes said, they don't want to go because they don't believe it's a purpose in going. We need to educate them. We need to teach them that the child's ability in school has got nothing to do with intelligence. It's not what you were born with. If your father is a salesman, your son could be a surgeon if he gets the right development, and that is language and emotion. So if we teach parents the value of language, what language means, and how they can develop language skills very strongly in their children, and develop their emotional stability, then the child can do anything. It can be high grades. The parents don't know that. They're raised on the lie. They're raised that the society provides doctors for health, police for protection, and teachers for education. One teacher, as we all know, one teacher cannot teach 40 kids in 45 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Roy. Mr. Farah, do you have any other question from Mr. Roy? Because we will take the opportunity, and mashallah, because he's a very busy person, and we are very grateful to Sir Roy Andersen. He always join our session on our request. So, do you have any question?
No, definitely not a question. But actually, there was a discussion going on the WhatsApp, and Mr. Abdullah, I think somebody has asked some of the questions, and the point of view of Mr. Andersen, I have gone through, and I have given my point of view as well. It was just morning in Pakistan here, and I was unable to. I have just received the message from Mr. Roy, but I was unable to read it properly and answer it back. The problem, there was a discussion between, if I am allowed to, because my
sure.
a different topic. Is, though it was regarding the teaching of languages. So that was a discussion going on, that why our students are unable to read or write Urdu properly. Like if we talk about the native language, that they are putting more emphasis on the foreign language. And Mr. Andersen has really given a very good thing that I really love to, that we should not teach it as a foreign language. We should try to interact students in the same language, that they should feel that they are working in the same environment. And that's what's going on. If we talk about Urdu, our Urdu is a bit difficult than English. It's easier to learn English, but it is difficult to learn Urdu. And unfortunately, we have just only one subject of Urdu, or maximum in some of the English medium students in Islamiyat, that is in Urdu. Otherwise, the rest of the subjects are in English. So that is, I think, the basic problem, that we cannot learn even our own language.
Islamiyat is also available. Islamiyat is also available in English version, I think.
Yes, that's what I said.
Actually,
in some of the schools.
Your Oxford University Press is issuing Islamiyat in English.
Obviously, yes. Because when you have to appear in O levels, so you have to go with the English version.
Yes.
Even in Urdu, you need to go for translation and retranslation and these sort of things. Yes. So no doubt, means I'm not like in against that we should not learn a foreign language. Even I have mentioned there as well that learning of languages increases your mental capacity. It sharpens your mind. That's what I have learned from my father, because he was a PhD scholar. He was PhD in Persian. And Alhamdulillah, we used to learn Persian, we used to learn Arabic, we used to learn even Sanskrit, Hindi, and Urdu, and Punjabi, means the local languages as well. So learning of language sharpens the mind, what I feel. And if Mr. Roy can give us some of the suggestions, because definitely I'm afraid that he won't be able to give some suggestions regarding Urdu. But I have some of the suggestions for teaching of Urdu as well, right from the very basic, because I myself have created some of the workbooks for the pre-junior students, just to make them learn how to learn a language. So if I can be a help, so I can send you my transcripts, you can go through it, and if you feel that we can help somebody in learning of our language, Urdu, so I'll be feeling proud.
We are at Mr. Farah. This is a very we glad to know about your mashallah, your writing skills. And Roy Andersen, mashallah, he is the author of more than 7 books. And even he sent me before to Saudi Arabia also, and I personally, and his books is available on Amazon, mashallah. And we are planning to translate into Urdu, and Roy Andersen and we are planning from even since 4 years. I think Roy Andersen, Mr. Farah is a good selection for such type of task. We will take his on board, inshallah, to translate all the books of Roy Andersen step by step. So it will be available for the local community also, for the India and Pakistan and Bangladesh. And even, Urdu is like speakers are available in other countries also. So, Mr. Roy, would you like to comment on Mr. Farah? Like as he said that English is more easier to understand instead of Urdu, even in the other countries also. What's your personal observation?
Well, first of all, I want to say that when I saw Mr. Farah's comment on WhatsApp, I thought, here is a man who knows what he's talking about. And it's a great pleasure, my friend, to finally meet you. Congratulations. I enjoyed very much the comments that you made. Them very relevant, very factual, based on experience. That aside, unfortunately, I'm still trying to learn English, so I can't make any comment on Urdu. But, I worked in Japan for 9 years, and my job in one university was to teach these medical students how to be how to make language alive for them. Japanese are very difficult to use body language. My job was to help them to do that. And what I realized, well, actually, let me pause for a moment and go back to an experience I had with my daughter, who is there's 2 instances here. We moved from England to Denmark when my eldest daughter was 9 and my youngest daughter was 5 years old. And when my youngest daughter began school, she was taught English and Danish. And my 9-year-old was taught English and Danish. And within the space of 4 years, they were both fluent in both languages. So I have no qualms about children being hindered by learning a second language. And as Farrokh says, it develops, it improves cognitive patterns, association, and which is very important in the learning process. So then my daughter was learning French in school when she was about 14. Then by 13, she started to learn French in school. It was late for her. And I can't speak French, and so I couldn't help my daughter. She would do her French homework, and she would go to school and get a mark. And then I met a man on a bus who was French. I said, "Oh, please, would you please come to my home and meet my daughter and just talk with her?" He said, "Yes, very fine." So he came to our home, and I said to my daughter, "Wow, I got a Frenchman to meet you." And my daughter said, "Oh, no, I don't want to talk to him." But I put them out into the garden, and after 1 hour, they came up, and I thanked the man very much. And I said to my daughter, "Well, what happened?" She said, "I couldn't understand anything, Dad." And the reality was that learning French for her was from a dead language. She was being taught that this word means this word means that, but it was not alive. She couldn't relate to it. So with that experience, when I started to teach in Japan, and I explained this in writing on WhatsApp, was that I tried to get the students to talk, not the teacher to talk. I mean, they need to learn basic words, but then live with it to get the confidence and the drive to want to use it. So this is applicable, I think, in any language, certainly a foreign language, any foreign language, is that once they have a certain vocabulary, they then need to get confidence in using them. And one of the ways that I try to do that is that the whole class stand up, make 2 rows, row A and row B, and we've got them facing each other. And I say, okay, row A, ask row B a question, whatever it is. Good morning, how are you? What do you think about the political situation, depending upon the level? And B responds. And they have this talk between them. And then, okay, after 3 or 4 minutes, stop and shuttle around. Move the students so that they have and keep doing this for a length of time. And I've experienced a great success with this. They really love this living interaction. It has a purpose to it. And this is one of the big problems that we've got with languages, is that it has no purpose. School has no purpose to many children. Well,
if Sir Farrokh, you want to comment something?
I would like to discuss, as Mr. Anderson is saying, that it is something that we need to live in. And that's what is lacking in our textbooks. Because, we have a chapter or a course or a unit of 10 to 12 pages. And the portion of listening and speaking is just one activity. And most of the time, teachers avoid it. And then we wanted to call ourselves the language teachers. You're very right, Mr. Anderson, because unless and until you're not going to do it practically, you cannot learn language. And that's what we are lacking. We are just making them cram the rules and regulations of grammar, trying to give them some exercises to develop the vocabulary or something, but we are not forcing them towards writing a language, speaking a language, and listening a language, at least. So that's what I think that we need to work on if we can talk about it on a bigger platform, as I have some of the meetings with the Oxford University Press people. So that's what we are dealing with. We have another publisher here, Afaq. They are also working on a very huge scale in Pakistan. So I have also in connection with them as well. And that's what I am trying to emphasize, that we need to improve that part of listening and speaking, because unless and until you're not going to listen any language, you cannot speak it. And if you cannot speak it, hopefully you cannot learn it as it is to be learned as a language person. Thank you.
Yeah, we're both on the same track. For any learning to be effective, it has to have a purpose. And with language, the purpose is to use it, is to express feelings and to learn the thoughts and minds of others. And if it's not verbalized, it's dead. And if it's dead, nobody's got an interest in
Yes, Roy Anderson, I second you, Mr. Farah, because there are so many publisher. They are working very good. Even like Afaq, I met Shahid Warsi, I think the CEO of the Afaq. I had meeting with him in Islamabad club, and because some of my friends from China, from Beijing. He is having school in China. So he was looking for some teachers, and then on that time we contacted Mr. Shahid Wars. So we need to collaborate with the publishers also, especially those who are in the research and curriculum of the private sector. There are so many things we can do, inshallah. But we will invite Roy Anderson also. This is our collective responsibility, because inshallah, now policy is also changing in Pakistan also now, because before we were having some sort of like security type of issues and other activities. Now, alhamdulillah, our country is growing, and now it's a very good and pleasant environment for the international trainers to travel to Pakistan. And I will take the opportunity via this forum. I would like to invite you, Mr. Roy Anderson, to inshallah, I will discuss with my Pakistan team, especially Mr. Farooq and other of our OPEP members. We will try to invite some international trainers. So our people, our community will, and we will try to invite top level, like even the publishers, like school principals and the policy makers. Okay, and because maybe they will not travel to other countries because there are so many expenses. So when we invite some trainers, so it will be very easy to learn from them, inshallah. And the journey of the collaboration will still continue. Mr. Farah, you have
Inshallah.
any suggestion regarding this, and then we will wind up the session, because we have almost 1 hour session is completed, and inshallah in the next maybe Mr. Roy, if you want to share some of your training schedule about your paid session, also you can share some links over here also, because this recording will be shared on all platforms. So maybe our members, those who are interested in your paid training sessions online via OPEP, inshallah we will register them for the future trainings also.
There is one thing that I would like to share regarding the training of the teachers or the principals or whatever. The problem, what I feel, as I have been in this field from last almost 30 years, that trainings are very good. We always conduct very good trainings. The trainers are very good. We also means taking all the things while we are in the training session. But unfortunately, as soon as we are out of the training session, we do not try to implement those ideas in our classrooms, especially the teachers or the principals.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Same is the case. I just wanted to request one thing to you and to this platform as well, that whatever the training, either it's paid or free of cost, we need to have a follow-up from all the schools, those who were the participants, either the principals or the teachers or the trainer, whosoever is the participant. We need to devise such sort of a system that we could take a follow-up, that either they are working on it or not. Because if they're not going to implement our ideas or the suggestion or whatever we have shared with them, it's not going to work at all. And that's what I feel is going on throughout the country, or you may say that in almost all the schools. So that is, I think, very much important.
Yeah, absolutely true. Yeah. Like yourself, I go to give a lot of workshops, and I know that the next day very little will happen. Although I do say to principals now, ask the teachers three things or five things they found interesting about what I talked about. Let them use it, and then 10 days later or 2 weeks later, ask them if it made a difference. And if it didn't, why didn't it? Was it because my idea was no good, or was it because they didn't apply it in the way? But this feedback is tremendously important for it. I'm actually very glad I met you. Yeah, it's good.
Okay, thank you very much, Sir Roy, for your for your precious time, and hope inshallah this recording will be available for our OPEP members, and inshallah we will discuss in your next session. Inshallah, whenever you find some time, you will be again available for our members. Thank you very much, sir, once again, and thank you, Mr. Farah, for your valuable information you shared with us, and your all participation. We glad to know about because you suggested some valuable information about the curriculum, about other activities. Thank you very much, all the participants.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been an honor. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.
Bye-bye.